Whew. Good morning. Still kind of working through some of this new equipment, so I'm hoping that you can hear me, and it looks like there's sound, so if you would leave me a comment if you can, that would be cool. This is just a brief update on the Rebelle rally, and where Team 104, the ladies Wild Mavens, Lisa and Katie, are at. So I'm going to switch screens real quick and kind of walk you through yesterday. So yesterday was more of a tech inspection. I think there was some time to get the last of the provisions and stuff like that, because as I watched the tracking yesterday, it looked like the ladies were at the grocery store for a little bit, so they may even get some, snacks or whatever. But anyway, let me switch over to that, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here's Mammoth Lakes, and so this is there's a ski resort right over here somewhere in this general vicinity. I won't zoom in, there's nothing there right now, but anyway, they did the tech inspection over at a ski resort right by a ski lift. It was the coolest thing. Did that yesterday, and I guess everything went well. One of the drawbacks to this is, while we have some tracking to do for the Lisa and Katie, we don't have that ability to do that interaction as much as we'd like to, because from my standpoint, it would be really cool to be able to have conversations and get their reactions, and not just from them, but even some of the other teams out there. But the way things work, this is done the old school way, and I think that's kind of neat in itself. But so that means that at some point the devices get cut off, and so no GPS, no cell phones, no Apple watches or Garmin watches or any of that stuff. You have to give it up, and that actually occurred last night. Katie's boyfriend James sent me a message and said, hey, they've gone social dark, meaning they don't have any access to tech for the next 8 days, and kind of like it was posted on the internet, on social media, this is going to be an 8-day detox for these ladies. They're not going to have an electronic device, with the exception of the tracking device that is used to track them, but it's not a two-way communicator or anything like that, so it's a little different. So it that in itself is pretty cool. I'm not really sure about you, but I don't know that I could go 8 days without some kind of electronic device. I think I've become just so acclimated and addicted to them. But I'm watching the maps, I'm watching some of the live feeds that are coming in, and I think James is going to join me later on this afternoon. The official, I think about 1 o'clock today, I'll jump back on Central Time. That'll be about 11 o'clock Pacific Time. So they're out there in the Pacific Time Zone, is where they're going to take off. So they left Mammoth Lakes, or left the ski resort last night, like I said, and then they went back into, I think, oh, that's not it. I was going to zoom in. Anyway, the ladies and some of the other competitors, they were all here in town, and just getting more stuff. But let's zoom out, and we'll go out here to where they're at. And so this is where all of them are now. And so this is actually called, give me a minute and I'll tell you, it's called Base Camp 1. It's right along a river, and honestly I've never been here and I kind of want to go now, so but there's Team 104, there's the ladies. They are there right amongst them. There's a nice little stream. It looks like a campground of some sorts. It's base camp. But right at this very moment, they're in the rally school, which is where they review all the rules and regulations for this, this competition, and then they'll take off. They do have a record of 65 teams this year. I think that's a new record, so that's pretty impressive in itself. So, it's going to be exciting. I can't wait to see what direction everybody goes in, and why we'll mostly focus on Katie and Lisa, because there are this part of the country, the Midwest. These are the girls from the Midwest, and I'm sure there's a few others, but unfortunately, I don't know who they are. I just know these two ladies, and they have a big following around here, and we know a lot of the same people, so we picked them. But we'll still check in on some of the others and see how they're doing and look at some point placements. So just so you know, there will be on the screen periodically as the day goes on, we'll add the like a live I guess not ticker, but a scoreboard, sorry. So we'll have a scoreboard here, and I will pull this up, and you should be able to see that on the screen. There you go. So it'll be on the screen, and what we'll do is we'll track their standings for the next few days and see what happens, and then but let's give you a little background on the ladies. So Lisa here is our driver. She completed the rally in 22, lives in Kansas City. She's retired. Her inspiration is to live in the moment. And, one of her greatest adventures has been doing the Rebelle Rally before. So she's doing it again. So it's, getting to relive it. So that's a little bit about her. Now, Katie's navigating this year, and I believe last year the roles were reversed. So Katie was primarily the driver and Lisa navigated. So this year the roles, I think, have reversed. And this year you have Katie's navigating. She completed the rally in 22 as well. Lives in Kansas City. Works for Dometic as their marketing manager. And her biggest inspiration is Mom. And who doesn't have Mom as one of their biggest inspirations, right? So anyway, and then if they're social dark, but even still, if you want to go follow her, this is Katie's Facebook. You can go follow her on Facebook. If you want to follow her on Instagram, I don't know, which one she prefers or which one she posts to the most. I believe James, her boyfriend's gonna post to some of this on her behalf. So if you want to go follow her there, you could always go follow us at Overland Radio. We'd love to have you follow us at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, the whole 9 yards. Lisa's Facebook page is Lisa Addington or Lisa.Addington.5. You can go follow her as well. Again, I don't know whether or not she prefers or posts mostly on Instagram or Facebook. But here's her Instagram. Whoop, I gave you her. Oh, well, I just realized something. Anyway, I didn't change the logo, but I think it's the same one. Anyhow, we'll just turn those off. Why don't we do that? So here's a picture of the ladies from last year when they did the Rebelle Rally last year together. And as you can see, there's Katie's Toyota 4Runner behind them. This year they're doing a Jeep Wrangler, the Orange Crush, I believe is the name of it officially. So that's kind of cool. And here's a picture of the 4Runner. So anyway, let's see where we're at here. We'll zoom in on that. So yeah, we should, like I said, we'll be covering it as much as we can. They're going to start, I think it's 11 o'clock Pacific time, which is 1 o'clock our time here in this central time zone. And so we'll come back on then as they kick off. But right now they're in the class or the school where they do the last minute reviews of, rules, regulations, things to expect. They got a lot of work ahead of them. They got 8 days of, dry, dusty, and not exactly what you would call I wouldn't say the most creature comforts. I'm sure they'll have a little bit along the way. I think they do have to do one camp on their own, but I think everything else is sort of, set up for them. But there's 65 teams, so that's a lot of people. A lot of teams, and I was looking at some of the different platforms or vehicles that they're using, and it's a little bit of everything. I mean, you got Rivians, you got Lexus GXs, you have, of course, 4Runners, you got Chevy Colorados, Ford Rangers, Jeeps of every shape, form, and fashion, of course. And then there's others that I even missed. I think you got the Subarus, the RAV4s, and some of these. So it's gonna be fun to watch how they navigate this, and they use these machines, their vehicles, to their most capable way. One thing before we go though, but I'll see if you can hear this. Hopefully you can. I'll switch over and we'll watch this real quick and then I'll break back in.
Covered by rugged, intimidating landscapes, jagged peaks, arid lake beds, winding canyons, endless adventure. When you push yourself out of your comfort zone, do difficult things, and build skills that will last a lifetime, you'll never be lost again.
The Rebelle Rally is a triathlon of rally. It consists of a couple of different formats: compass and map challenges and enduro challenges, either being en route or on time. Competitors are in stock manufactured vehicles in one of two classes, 4x4 or X-Cross. There's no technology, meaning no cell phones, no GPS, no personal support crews. It's just a driver, a navigator, and the third teammate, which is your vehicle. With maps that we provide, a compass, a plotter, and a scale, and probably a stopwatch and some magnifying glasses, and an accurate odometer. That's it.
Well, I mean, the Rebelle Rally is type 2 fun, right? Like, you hate it while you're doing it, and then afterwards you're like, that was really fun.
Every day is relentless.
I think it's a habit loop. You do an activity that's challenging, you get a reward, you do it again, and you get another reward, you do it again, get another reward. For people that love a challenge and they get really rewarded by executing that challenge, the Rebelle Rally is the perfect platform. I mean, it's because it's something that you shouldn't be able to do. Like, you shouldn't be able to go out and find 25 points on this earth without a GPS. It shouldn't be possible. And yet you make it possible because you know how to do it. And you learn how to do it, and you focus, and you persevere to get out there, crossing whatever kind of terrain that you were dumb enough to try to cross instead of going around. Ask me how I know.
Navigation across open desert, it's a little bit adrenaline building because the opportunity to get lost is so present.
When you watch it, we're driving pretty slow. I mean, all things considered. We stop a lot. We just stop. It looks like for no reason, but really in the car, we're solving a giant problem.
Taking that 2D map and turning it into a 3D representation of what's around you, that's the hard part.
If you don't like conflict, it's going to be a tough deal because you have to meet the problem head on. You have to be direct, you have to be straight up, honest, clear, but you have to do it together.
The game in the Rebelle has been elevated to such a high level.
Even our rookies are getting better and better and better every year because of the amount of training that's available ahead of time and because the amount of help that past competitors are giving to the rookies.
Everybody has this incredible understanding of the skill level, what you need to do, how you need to do it in order to win. And so the margin of error is this big. The top level competitors are truly students of the game we created.
It's crazy how good they are.
I think when I first met Emily, it was pretty apparent right away that she was the kind of person who could accomplish amazing things.
Just a spark plug, just spitfire, just soft-spoken, sweet, but there's a driven monster in there that wants to get something done.
She wants everyone to work up to their full potential, and she'll do anything to help you do that. But she knows when to back off and when to be like, okay, I'm going to help you up to this much, but then it's up to you to take it the rest of the way. And like that's what's really cool because she makes sure that she's not going to do the work for you, but she'll help you get there.
She's a mentor. She's willing to provide a platform for women to shine. And so I was very intimidated to meet her because she's larger than life. And she's this world-class competitor. And I met her, and she's the nicest, easiest to talk to woman I've probably ever met. So my nerves were unfounded. She's a very balanced person, very successful, yet very down-to-earth and approachable.
She's a very complicated woman. I've had the honor of interviewing her for a fairly in-depth story and got to learn some things about her that I never knew, that you couldn't know unless you asked some fairly probing questions. She has been through so much, both physical trauma and emotional trauma, but I think where a lot of people would respond to those things in a way that would diminish them, she's remarkable because she has responded to so many things in a way that really shows tremendous amount of mental toughness, physical toughness. So she's this tiny little package, but there's just a powerhouse of a human being inside of her.
I came from a family and a father who loved cars, but I didn't start really driving and driving off-road until I met Rod Hall. And that was a little over 20 years ago. I never made a plan to race. I was into skiing and cycling, and then later snowboarding and line picking sports. But I never made a decision to drive. Rod made that decision for me. He pulled me aside one day as we were driving down the street and said, "Hey, I found my new driver." And I said, "Great, who's that?" And he said, "You." And it took me a second because at the time, I own a sports marketing company and I'm at a lot of big events, and I just figured he wanted me to drive the cars from GM and guerrilla market them and plant them where I was going. And I didn't really interpret the fact that he wanted me to race for him. And once I got over that shock, he said, "I can teach you how to drive. It's easier for me to teach someone who has the right mindset, who will never give up, who loves to be coached, and doesn't have any bad habits yet. It's easier for me to train them how to drive and how to race, but you will have to learn how to win." So that's how I got into it. In my life, I've had a number of windows open, and I wasn't afraid to jump through the window.
I wasn't aware of all the events that she'd put on. She understood how to promote and put on and organize events. She knew how to see things on a much bigger scale. And originally she told me she'd done the Gazelle Rally, and I knew just because of who she knew, I knew that she had done some off-road racing for sure. But then we started talking about Rod Hall, who I'd met in Africa on the Dakar Rally, and how much of a mentor he was to her. And then we started talking about driving stock vehicles, because she was kind of amazed that I wasn't smashing my wheels off of my truck and stuff like that. And she would say, Rod would like the way you drove this thing, that we're not tearing the tires off of it. So I didn't know much, but it's just something that she has in her back pocket, that if you were to say, people do this with me all the time, it's like, well, what do you know about racing cars, driving cars, or racing motorcycles? Because I'm just an old guy now, right? Some kid will like, what do you know about that? And then you can just pull it out of your back pocket. Well, I did this, and I don't challenge her like that. I know she can pull something out of her back pocket that in the car racing world that is way beyond what I'd ever be able to do.
The takeaways for me in racing have been great friendships, character building in the hard times. When you have the naysayers, I was usually the only woman out there. You have the people that don't believe in you. You have the critics. And you just keep focused, on what the goal is. Early on, I knew this was an underserved space for women. I've been accused of being sexist because I'm doing a women's event, and that's not fair to not include men. And yes, racing is open for women, but there are very few women who are doing it. Now people say, oh, there are a lot of women racing now. True, there's more, but maybe 2% or less in a field. I wanted to start an event that would give women just the feel. What I saw in training programs is that when women would come to training, they would tend to stay in the back, listen really well, not put themselves out there too much, felt a bit under the microscope, and then the second day in exercises, they would just come to life. And, I thought, well, it's too bad they didn't feel more comfortable the first day, I wanted a world-class event that is designed for the strengths and weaknesses that we have, to make the strengths shine, but the weaknesses show themselves so you can clearly work on them and be pushed on your weaknesses to refine them. I wanted a badge of honor event for women, not watered down. As a driver, I wanted a fun, challenging format, like kick in the pants, fun to drive, really hard to navigate, and really hard to do well as a team, and that you'd have to really work at it. I didn't want an event that seemed soft or would be discredited as a little women's event. And I wanted to create an incredible team of people.
One of the amazing things that now I've really watched is she knows how to grab the right people. I don't know how she found me, but she finds people that really know their space, their zone, what they're good at.
Emily's really good at getting people who are the best person for that job, She's so good at it.
My name is Chrissy Beavis. I'm the competition director of the Rebelle Rally. I'm the head of scoring and the head judge.
I met Chrissy Beavis because a friend of mine owned a winter driving school in Steamboat Springs. And he said, you need to meet Chrissy Beavis. Like, you two would be the dynamic duo. You just have to meet her. And so I did. I called her up.
It was like an hour-long phone call about all of the things I'd done. I wanted to know all the things she'd done. And it was interesting because our resumes didn't line up in any way. We didn't have anything that aligned. It's just everything meshed well. Everything seemed to work like it would support each other. And they were all so similar that we kind of knew like we could work great together.
We became friends and, you know, really got to know her and her history. And we always say that the Jabot family, her parents, Mike and Paula Jabot, they're the first family of rally here in the United States.
I love driving off-road. I learned to drive a Saab 900 stick shift out in the desert when I was like 9. When I was 16, I became a navigator in pro rally, which is like speeding down little forest roads. Then it turns out that I was pretty good at it. I was pretty good at co-driving, and I got a lot of experience. I started getting paid for it, went pro when I was like 19 with Mitsubishi, and Reese Millen was the first person I drove, co-drove for in a factory-sponsored car, and I was only 19, and that was really fun, just to kind of be part of something bigger and bigger.
Fast left 5 over crest 50, max crest 70, right 3 late. Then crest 150. And you're done.
So Emily first called me about doing the Rebelle Rally. She was like, hey, I want to do an all-women's 7-day off-road rally in the States. I was like, you're crazy. There's no way we can get permission to do that.
I remember she pulled me aside one day and said, hey, I have this crazy idea. And that goes a long way with me. That's a great opening line to get my attention, because I like crazy ideas. And she explained her idea for the Rebelle Rally. She knew from my past I had experience with rallies in general, understood navigation, and so she kind of explained it to me, and I said, that's a great idea, you'll never be able to do it. But if you do, let me know, I'd like to help.
Growing up, my parents put on one of the largest pro rallies in the country, and getting land permissions anywhere in the United States can be very, very difficult. When she was so sure that she could get the permits for it, I was like, oh, well, I've got ideas on what I want it to be like. I've got goals that I want an all-women's rally in the States to meet. And I think that just, at that point, came from having 20 years of experience sitting in both seats in a male-dominated rally situation, and also seeing what other all-women's events internationally were like, and some of the ways that they kind of let me down. And I was like, we could do this so much better. We could really make it, build women up, teach women amazing skills, and make them more successful in their daily lives.
I think she takes like me, it's like, okay, here's the crazy idea, now tell me I can't do it. And when you tell me I can't do something, that's just a little bit more motivation. Where like, okay, I don't want to say hold my beer and watch, but I get that level of motivation. Like, I'm going to do this.
I knew that if we created the rally that we would want to compete in, that we would end up with a successful rally that met our goals. It just came down to the fact that we just had to start somewhere. We just had to start it.
How crazy is that? Yeah, I have to say that that's just...
We can't do the Rebelle
Sorry,
without our
I'm switching
partners.
stuff around. Bear with me
We
for a
have
minute.
tried to keep the Rebelle something that's attainable to our competitors, but to actually companies that aren't just checking the box. They aren't just looking at it as a marketing program or a women's marketing program. They believe in the Rebelle, and they're there for us. Sometimes what we need is technical expertise, programming, coding, on-site support, and the products can't fail. They have to be durable, reliable, they have to be the best.
All right, so hopefully everybody can hear me. I had to change some things around there, but hopefully we're good. All right, hopefully everybody can hear me. So that was a pretty neat little video about, did anybody notice, and this is a question I have, and I don't know the answer, and if some of you have the answer, let me know. I'm going to check a couple things here. Bear with me here. All right. Hopefully you're okay. I just want to make sure the audio was coming through good. So when they take the devices away from the participants, what do you think? I mean, how do they react to, you know, all these modern day vehicles have built-in GPS systems and navigation in them. So do they have to have those disconnected, or what's the, you know, I'd be curious about the protocol. And I've looked online, I've looked around, and I can't find it. I am going to say that as neat as this Rebelle rally is, and I'll probably end up saying this again, is that the one thing that it lacks with information on the website is just, once this thing starts to spin up, there just needs to be some more video or social media posting. So for instance, yesterday a lot of the social media stuff didn't come up until well after things had happened. And, you know, I sat there and looked at the maps, like this map here. I looked at the map thinking, okay, well, everybody's at the ski resort. What are they doing? But it was afterwards that we found out. So is that where they're disconnecting these, you know, GPS units on people's anyway, I'm not really sure what's going on. I got something weird happening here that we found out. So is that where they're disconnecting these, you know, maybe not. What do I know? This is all new stuff to me, but anyhow, so, you know, when it comes to, you know, the maps and things like that, I just yesterday was, I was a little bit lost trying to figure out, okay, they're all at a ski resort, so what is it they're doing? But it was, you know, finally posted on social media later that it was, you know, a tech inspection and one thing or another. I'm just curious, you know, how they, you know, how they're doing things. And I need to make sure I got all my stuff together here. Anyway, so I'm going to refresh the page. We're going to zoom in on Team 104, the Wild Mavens. And it looks like we have a course laid out now, and this is going to be the first bear with me here. So this looks like this is going to be the first you know, part of the course where they're gonna be. It looks like so. And I keep checking the sound because I'm not really sure if it's doing all the things that it's supposed to. But anyhow, looks like they got this laid out. I still think it's about it's 11:30 here, 12:30, so about an hour and a half, and then they should be taking off. I'm going to pause the live stream for a few, and then we'll come back to hopefully see the ladies and do some live tracking with them. Maybe even have James come on. I will tell you that it looks like Monday night I will have the ladies live on a show. It's Monday night, so unfortunately, due to the time change differences, they're 2 hours behind us, plus scheduling in the media tent that they have to have somebody there present with them to do the interview, you know, all this, that, and the other, and somebody else coordinates. I guess they basically just come in and they get to sit down, do the interview, and then that's it, about midway. So Monday evening, it looks like, and I'll keep you updated, 10 p.m. Central Time, we'll do an interview with them. And fingers crossed, everything goes well. But we should have the ladies on to get kind of a mid-race update. And then hopefully after it's over with, we'll have another extended interview with them. We'll have them both on, and we'll go through some highlights and hopefully get, you know, they don't have their cell phones, so I don't know what they're going to do unless they have an old school camera. I believe I read the rules that you can have a camera, but it cannot have like you know, the GPS and all that stuff. So hopefully they'll have something and take some pictures, and they'll be able to share some of that with us. So we'll be back in just a little bit.